Yo, this is your Coach Renz, and I'm going to sell you a way for you to make more money, but it's going to take time and effort and energy and thinking and making changes to your your lifestyle in order for it to happen. I'm sorry. I know you want to get those get rich quick programs. I know you want somebody to come in and say, hey, you can just flip houses with no money and it's so easy. No, that stuff takes a lot of work and you got to have the right contacts. Oh, hey, just join our program. Just get on Amazon. All these kind of programs that, yes, somebody's making money off of it, but the majority of people are not making money. But what I want to show you is a financial capabilities assessment that I created based on Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I want to give that book the credit and that man his credit. But I want to take you through this, and then after going through this, like my financial alchemy clients, you'll be able to see a better pathway for you to be able to increase your income to whatever your desired rate is. So what's up, everybody? How you doing? This is your Coach Renz, and I want to thank you for taking this opportunity to watch this video. You know, I find it very interesting that out of all the 360 degrees of videos that I do, whether I'm talking about sex, whether I'm talking about relationships, whether I'm talking about spirituality, talking about controversial spirituality things, we talk about your health, that the financial videos are some of the least watched videos on YouTube and Facebook for my channel. Now, if we was just talking, if that's all I talked about and didn't have that many views, that would be one thing. But I know y'all are out there. I know you're getting the notifications because you subscribe to the channel like you're doing right now. If you're finding me for the first time, you hit that bell icon. Moses, when I met you this morning, you told me you was gonna hit that bell icon, so I expect you to see this video, and it was great meeting you. So if you're hitting that, then you know these videos come up, but you're not watching them. When I talked about 70-10-10-10, when I talk about the richest man in Babylon, I talk about budgeting, we talk about increasing your income, we talk about your credit. Y'all don't watch those unless I'm talking about something that's quick fix, that's something that's get it in a hurry. All right, but I don't do that because just like in my fitness company, I like to train my people, teach my people how to do this for the rest of their life. I don't want you having to yo-yo back and forth. Oh, you know, Coach Renz, I lost 50, 100 pounds, I was in great shape, but then, life happened and now I gained it all back. No, my clients don't call me back. My clients don't call me back because I look at them on Facebook and they still going strong, still keeping what I taught them 10 years ago, still going strong. And that's how I want you to be in your finances. I want you to keep going strong. I want you to never, ever have to go all the way back. Yeah, we do the law of polarity. Everything exists on a pole. But we want to polarize. We want to polarize your finances. And if you do this, what I'm about to teach you, then this is one way to help you polarize your finances. Now, for those who don't know, I am the owner of Uncle Renz Popcorn. And I'm actually considering rebranding the company because of the next stage I want to take it into. So if you're watching this and Uncle Renz Popcorn name has changed, you'll be all right. Just roll with it. But I'm the owner of Uncle Renz Popcorn. I'm also a performance coach where I teach people how to just get the best performance out of your life. Just the best performance out of your life, and it's in many different directions. I also train people on sales and leadership and so many other things because I have a lot of experience. I'm 47 and I've done a lot, and I want to make sure that I pass that on. And like I've said in many videos, most of this stuff is for my children, so that when they see this, if something happened to me today, that my kids can go and say, oh, you know what, Dad dropped some wisdom like that. Let me put that in my life. So, and I'm saying that because I just talked to my daughter, both my daughters today. And that's one of the things they alluded to. So anyway, back to the subject at hand. First, I got to get two things into your mind. And for all those people who are like, oh, just get to the point. No, that's why you keep failing, because you just want to get to the point. You got to take the journey. And many people don't want to take the journey. So let's take the journey, okay? But there's two things I need you to understand. The natural universe, the universal laws, says that for everything exists on a pole. Everything exists on a pole. So the pole is not rich and poor. The pole is wealth. The pole is wealth, financial wealth. That's the pole, financial wealth, right? Now, financial wealth is determined however you decide it is, whatever your pole is, right? So the law of polarity says it's financial wealth. Now, your polarity on the high, your pole on the high side, on the high vibration side, it could be $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, $1 million a year, $2 billion a year. It could be any of those, and down here could be, $1 million could be someone's low end. But to most people, low end, it might be 30,000, 20,000, 10,000, zero, negative, whatever. It could be that I've lived in an existence where my income, my wealth was negative. Negative. I was making money, but I never had enough money. I never had enough money to meet the needs, just the needs. I went through a period like that where at the end of the day, my wealth was negative. Negative, because my bank account was always negative. I switched like banks like 5 times during that year because I kept having to lose the account. That's how negative they got. So, and here's the thing. I don't want you to go there. I want you to learn how to increase your vibration. And that's what doing a financial capability assessment is really about. It's about being able to recognize where your current vibration is and then increasing your vibration to the side of the pole of the higher end, where you're having more financial resolution, more financial security, I should say, more financial security in your life. And that's what we're about to do in just a second. But in order to do that, this financial capability assessment, we have to do 2 things. We have to do the one thing first, and then I'll explain it. First thing you have to get is Budget 101. If you've done financial alchemy with me, or you're in financial alchemy, and some of y'all haven't turned in y'all budgets, I'm not going to name any names, but you know your name. And even if you haven't even been a client of mine when I made this video, there are some of you who have become clients after this video and you haven't turned your budget in. We're not going to name any names because some of y'all can't name your name because that's in the future. But I need you to turn in your budget, your 70-10-10-10 budget that I sent you. If you're supposed to have filled it out, fill it out. You're only hurting yourself. But what I found is that most people have no idea, or they're not on a budget. Their budget is however they pay their bills, they look at what's left over. They look at their bank balance every day, and that's their budget. They have no idea where their money goes every month. They have no idea how much of their money, the percentage of their money is going to what entity. But when you do my 70-10-10-10 budget, you get an idea. Not an idea, you know where your money is going, and you know the percentages of your money that's going into different places. So you need to get on a budget first, and the budget is set by you. You're not a slave to it. You're not a slave to it. You set your budget. Now in my 70-10-10-10 plan, basically 70% of your income goes to your needs, your necessities, the rent, the mortgage, the car note, the insurance, your food bill, your clothing, whatever you need for that. Need, not want. Need in your clothing. You know, things like that. Your health insurance. Those things are your needs, your necessities. You have to have those. Your the credit card bills you do have. Those are your needs. Those are your necessities. That is only 70%. Now, if you're above that, we have to work your way down to your financially to get you there. Or if you're not there, what we do simultaneously, we also increase your income. That's where the financial capability assessment comes in. The 10% is for your investing. 10% of your money needs to go into investments. Need to go to where you're going to invest it. Now, I'm not particularly fond of stocks and 401ks, that sort of thing, but there are other investments that you can get into that will make you more money over a consistent period of time, as well as keep up with inflation. You got to remember, inflation has increased a couple hundred times over since 1950, whereas income, since 1980s, but your income has only increased about 3 to 4%. So you're not keeping up. We're not keeping up. Some of you have, and you've done some of the things we're going to talk about that kept you there. Another 10% goes into your savings. You want to save money. You want to be able to just save money for emergencies. You want to save money for vacations. You want to save money for big purchases. You want to be able to save some money. You want to buy a house, you need to be saving some money so that you can have a 10% or 15% down payment. And then the final 10%, that is for your fun, your entertainment. If you're doing all of this but not having fun, you're not going to do it that long. Your psyche can't handle just grinding and no fun. Even people who were dirt poor and worked as slaves, or who were just dirt poor because the economy crashed, even people during the Great Depression, people during the last recession, they still have to have fun. Whether it's going on a picnic to the park, that's extra food. Gotta have fun. Going on one vacation a year, you need to have some level of fun with your money, with your life on a monthly basis. If you don't, then life becomes a drag. You go to the movies once a month, have a big date once a month, where you get dressed up. But once a month, you spend that 10% on fun. You and your family, you and your spouse, you and whomever, have some fun. So I'm gonna throw up here the what is called the the cash flow quadrant from Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I really enjoyed the book. I've read the book about 6, 7, 8 times. I've been reading that book since I think I started reading that book in the 90s, right? So reading that book since the 90s, and it's a really good book. And I've purchased many of his other books, pretty much all of his books, up until probably around 2003 was the last time I purchased one of his books. Not that I got bored with his information, I just moved on, right? We just move on. We go from teacher to teacher. So in his cash flow quadrant, we're going to keep that up for a while. In his cash flow quadrant, you have the E, the S, the B, the I. I don't know if I got that in the right order of it. I haven't looked at it in a while, but that's the order I wanted it in, right? So the E, everybody on the E and the S side, which E represents employees, S represents self-employed. Those people are 90% of the population, but they only control 10% of the wealth. On the B and I side, you have all the business system owners or business owners, and you have investors. Now there's a huge difference between a business owner and a self-employed person. They both own a business, but one owns a business system that operates without them, whereas the other owns a business that only works because of them. If you are a doctor, you have a clinic, a practice, but if you're not there, you don't see clients, you don't make money, you are self-employed. You're not a business owner of a business system, you're a business owner of your job. That's what you are. You're a business owner and you're the #1 employee. There's nothing wrong with that if that's your choice, but just understanding where you are can dictate how you can function in the world and increase your income. That's where I come in as a business coach, and I work with people like that to see how we can change from a self-employed situation to a business system owner by changing their SOPs, their standard operating procedures, having them, and then other ways to implement people who can replace you and do the work for you. And then of course the I is the investor. If you can invest in somebody else's business and they go off and they do well, you were investing in Facebook when it started. You invest in a restaurant that grows into 7 restaurants in your community. You invest in anything of the sort that grows and provides you a sustainable income every month or every quarter or every year, then that is a good investor. Now you can invest in stocks and bonds and mutual funds and hedge funds and 401ks, but I'm going to tell you, in our current financial situation that's been for the last 50 years, your money will not keep up unless you're able to put large quantities of money in there. If you're not going to the table of the stock of investing in stock with hundreds of thousands of dollars, then you're not really playing the game at a level where it's going to keep you over a long term. So when we look at these cash flow quadrants, the E, the S, the B, and the I, and I think the I is on top and the B is at the bottom, but I wrote it differently because that's the way I like to think about it, because investing is the most difficult one to get involved in. I put them in an order that's easiest to do. Right? Takes the least amount of work. But of course, whatever is the least amount of work also has the least amount of profitability. So there it is. But in taking the assessment, what I want you to do is you put your cash flow quadrant on a piece of paper. All right? You put 101 budgeting, 70, 10, 10, 10, so that you always remember you got to budget your money for any of this to work. If your money is not budgeted, none of this is going to work for you. All right? You're just going to keep circling the toilet bowl and be in the same situation. So first I want you to write down employee, and then you'll write down all your major skill sets. So I did this for myself just so that you guys can follow me in it and I can have notes. But this is where all this is just a portion of all the stuff I've done over my 47 years of life, right? And I'm going to say I've been working since I was 14, you know, but I've been hustling since I was like 9, 10 years old. Now, and here's the thing, I didn't have this information when I was coming up. Nobody taught me this. Oh my God, I tell my kids all the time, if I had me as a father, by the time I was 35, I'd been like embarrassingly rich financially, like just obscene if I had me as a father. So my kids are doing already at their tender ages of 23, 19, and 18 are doing better than I was doing at the same stage of life because they got me as a father and they listen. Now the question is, would I have listened back then? That's the question. All right, and no shade on my dad. He just didn't live with me, and my grandfather was hustling, and you know, my mom was trying to take care of 3 kids, you know, on 2.5 jobs. So it is what it is. I'm not ashamed of it, and I'm not trying to go back and change it. It is what it is, and I relish it because it made me who I am today. So anyway, you write employee. Under mine, I just put a quick 4 of them with management, then training, then sales, then IT. Because as an employee, those are the primary things that stick. Primary things I've done, primary industries, I should say. Now, under management, I've done IT management, I've done retail management, I've done accounting management, and sales management. Under training, I've done IT training, general training, like leadership training, customer service training, and I've done management. I've been a training manager. Under sales, I've done IT sales, I've did car sales, general merchandise sales, as well as I was a sales manager. And then under IT, I did sales. I was a trainer. I managed the trainers, and I also did administrative work as an IT person. Like Microsoft Systems administrator, that sort of thing. Now, here's the thing about it. Any of those things I've made between $30,000 and $180,000 in a year. Now, the thing is that at this current state, between 1 and 5 years, I can make any amount of those money as an employee. But what it will take for me to get back into some of that is get into the education. I would have to re-educate myself as an IT guy if I wanted to go into IT. I would have to work my way up in sales and go and like sell one product, like go sell cars, build up to a six-figure earner car salesperson at like a Jeep Eagle dealership, and then go from there to say, hey, here's my credentials, now I can sell the Mercedes or the BMWs, and then go from there to sell something else. Or I can go to a school, get a real estate license, and utilize my sales and marketing skills to start selling real estate, and go from the regular, your $120,000, $180,000 homes, then the 300s, then the 500s, and get up to the $1 million homes where I can increase my income up to $1 million earner. You can do these things in process. Even in management, I can go and get a job as a management consultant, whether it's in IT as a project manager or just a management consultant, or if it's just systems management or personnel management consulting. There are different avenues of approach to increase my income by getting all the outside training and the inside training, by becoming an expert in my one field. I can go back to school, and if I went back to school, I would probably get a degree in psychology and sociology. No, I'll get a degree in psychology and philosophy, and I could then work as a psychologist, which leads me to self-employment, right? Because I can work as a psychologist for someone, or I can branch off and create my own firm. By doing that, I then become self-employed. So under self-employed, right, so you got all of that, and most people are going to fall in that category. So you can assess what your skill set is, and then the question is, how do you elevate? What opportunities are present for you, and how do you take advantage of them? How do you elevate yourself to the point where you are not just the middle management, but you can rise to upper management? You can go from the mailroom to the VP. You can do that. How do you do that? How do you go from the mailroom to the boardroom, where you're sitting in there? Like, I know a gentleman that I've known for a very long time celebrated his retirement like a month ago, and he was talking about how he started in the mailroom at his company, and he's retiring as a senior VP in his company. Yes, he had to finish college. He took opportunities. He's moved around the country. He's traveled for his job. He's done a lot of things for the job in order to make himself promotable, and that's what you have to do if you're going to remain an employee, where you're not worried. You don't want to worry about it. And being an employee is not always bad. You may not have the capabilities or the mental stability to say, I want to stress about the employee's pay. I want to stress about whether or not the company is making the right marketing steps. I want to stress about profit and loss documentation. I want to stress about the taxes. I want to stress about contractors, and I want to stress about all these different things that goes into being a business owner. Maybe you just want to go and do your work and get your check. And the thing about it is that it's not impossible for you to become a six-figure earner. And if you're budgeting under the 70-10-10-10 plan, think about it. Under the 70-10-10-10 plan, if your net income, not your gross, if your net income is $100,000, because maybe your gross income is $140,000, so your net income, Yeah, if your gross would need to be around 140, 130 for your net income to be around 100,000. If your net income is 100,000, then that means your NEC, your 70% is $70,000. That means all your bills annually come up to $70,000. Your house mortgage, because you better have a mortgage at that amount. Your mortgage is within that $70,000 a year, right? If you break that $70,000 down to a monthly, that is over over 5,000 a month. That is so 12 goes into 70,000. 5 is 60, so you got another 10 left. That's like over $5,000. I ain't doing the math. Somebody do the math. Tell me what it is later on, because it's an exact number. But you got over $5,000 coming in a month. So that means that if you got over $5,000 coming in a month, and your mortgage could be anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000. I wouldn't do $3,000 a month as far as my mortgage, but it could be up to $3,000. A bank will probably give you a loan up to there, depending upon what your other bills are. If you don't have a car note, if you don't have a bunch of credit cards, and the bank is going to make sure that your house note doesn't exceed 40% of your gross income. So that way, I think it's gross, it might be net, but that way you may be able to afford and get that $3,000 a month dream house that you want. And a $3,000 a month dream house, depending upon where you live in Atlanta, that's a big damn house. That's a whole lot of house. That's a 5,000 square foot house kind of deal you got going on right there. So it's not bad to be an employee. You may, hey, if my brother works for a company where he gets like 6 to 8 weeks of vacation every year, he's been doing that. So 6 to 8 vacations a year, and if you're bringing in $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 a month, if you're bringing that kind of money in, because if you're making 100, I mean, you might be you're bringing that in. You're bringing that in, and if you're making that, then hey, that's not a bad life. The average income in America is $54,000, and if your income is 140, 120, if your income is 80, 90,000, you're bringing in more than the average. Your affordability is more. Why do people struggle who make that kind of money? Because they're not 70, 10, 10, 10. They're not. They're like 98. They're like 98% leverage on their necessities. That's what you have to avoid if you're going to be in any of these quadrants. You have to avoid that. So you can make the money, but you have to be able to look at how can I increase. My aunt, who was working for a company, she barely missed one of the layoffs about 30 years ago. I said, Aunt, take every in-house class your company has. Take all of them. Make yourself invaluable to the company. She did. She got promoted. She got into a whole new field in her company that she just fell in love with. And she's still doing it to this day. I don't think she'll ever retire because she loves doing it. She'll retire eventually. But she started making way more money, and she had that job security because she was too valuable to replace. They put so much into her in training her, so she became too valuable to replace. And that's what I'm telling you guys. You got to become that if you're going to remain an employee. And I stayed with the employee for so long, and we're not going to do the same thing for the rest of them because that's where most people are going to be. All right, most people are equipped for that. So going into the next one, self-employed. Now, self-employed is the next higher one where there's more people. This is people who create a job for themselves. For me, performance coaching, and I can do that in the fitness. Like I can go back, I can become a trainer, do personal training, life coaching, business coaching, sales coaching, relationship coaching, all of that. And I can be the coach. It's not your coaching. I got coaches who work for me. I'm the coach. I deal with every client. And of course, I can increase my income by increasing the rate that I charge the client based on the value of my time. So to give you an example, when I first started as a personal trainer back in 2003 as a personal fitness trainer, my rate initially was $50 a session. Nope. Initially it was because I was working for a gym. So initially my rate was $15 a session. By a year later, I'm at $50 a session because I went out on my own, my own clients, so it's $50 a session. And I only did 1 hour sessions. I didn't do 30-minute sessions. So you went from $50 a session. then I went to $70. Then I went to 60, then I went to 75, then I went to 85, then 95, and then I constructed where if you was working in a small group, you paid less, but the group paid more. So if there's 3 people in the group, instead of it being one person paying $50 for an hour, I had each person, 3 people, each person paying $25. I made $75 for the hour, but each individual only paid $25 for the hour. So I did things like that to increase the amount of money I made. I maximized my time. I didn't travel crisscrossing the city. If I'm in one part of the city, I'm there for 4 or 5 hours a day. And then if you want to train with me and you lived in that part, you have to fit into the days and times I was in that part of the city. I had to turn down some people. It hurt my feelings, but I knew in the long run that's what was needed in order for me to increase my income. As far as sales, I can go into real estate. I can do retail arbitrage. I can do importing and exporting things in and out of America. As an IT person, I can go back to being an IT trainer. I can teach people IT. I can set up a small school teaching people how to become IT professionals, teaching them the software and the programs and how to use them. And of course, as the owner of Uncle Ren's Popcorn, I can just open up the store and just be an owner operator. Hire only a few people, but really it's based on me being there. I handle all the finances, I handle all the logistics, I handle everything, and it's just about me being there. Now and when I want to take a vacation, I have to trust in my employees. And let me tell you, so when I was a personal trainer, I eventually opened up a gym called UC Fitness. The gym was in Alpharetta, Georgia. I had like 2 employees. This is going great. And then I decided I'm going to take a vacation. So I had my employees there. They're going to work. Now, the one guy, his wife, wasn't due to have her baby for 2 more months. While I was gone, her water broke. The young lady who worked with me, all of a sudden, but before the water broke, the young lady who worked with me, she got the flu. So no one was there to operate the gym. I'm calling from the ship. I'm typing emails, letting people know I'm sorry, all your training sessions are canceled. Thankfully, the gym, and I told people the gym is closed. You can't get in. This is why. Guy had a baby. He let me. It was like 2 days later. He was able to come in there. He opened the gym, let people in, but it was like limited hours. It was nuts, crazy. So what did I do when I got back? I said, you know what? And this really goes into business system. I made my gym 24 hours. I set it up with 24-hour access. Never again will clients be told they cannot work out. Right? I set it up though. It can function whether no one is there. Now, there are other things, backups I had to have, and that was just a perfect storm of craziness going on while I was on vacation. But as you're self-employed, when you're gone, you don't make money. Like I said earlier, if you're the doctor and you see all the clients, but you're not there, you don't make money. So you got to stack your cash, 70-10-10-10, stack your cash. This is where people, they start lawn service companies, they start janitorial companies. You start small businesses that really function under you, but you never set it up to work without you. And the main reason that happens is because people start living off the money they make as soon as they get it. The same way you budget for your personal income, you got to budget for your business. You have to say that, yes, we made $15,000 this month. It cost $8,000 to keep my business running. That leaves $7,000 left over. You can't say I'm gonna pay myself $6,000. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. But let's do it for real. You made $15,000. It costs $8,000 to run your business. It costs you $3,000 in employees, right? So now we're at $11,000. You got $4,000 left over. This is where most people just live off their business. They'll go ahead and they'll take that $4,000 for themselves. That's only $48,000 a year. They'll say that's how I'm living on. So if you lose a contract, all of a sudden you got problems. All of a sudden you're stressed. You can't afford to hire another person because that takes out your 48 out for you. Now I can understand if your business is that way. So what do you have to do to change that situation? What do you got to do to change that situation to be able to give you the availability of turning into a business system? Is you got to now increase the amount of money that comes in. If it's a retail shop, you got to increase the volume of people coming in. You got to raise your prices a little bit, maybe become more efficient. You know, maybe you have too much waste going on, too many broken material, too many stolen material. You got to increase the efficiency of your company. You got to maximize the scheduling of your employees and keep your employee hours as low as possible. without pissing them off and they quit. You also, it's all kind of things. You got to reduce your tax liability, find different ways to replenish your supplies, get your overhead down lower so that it doesn't cost you as much. Now, and you got to set yourself up that way. You start doing those things, and when you start making, okay, you went from 15,000 to 20,000. Now there's an extra 5,000 there. What you don't do is say, well, I've been paying myself 4,000. I'm tired of suffering. I want to get me a new car and this, that, and the third. No, you keep yourself at that 4,000 a month, and you say this extra 5. I need another employee to help with the increase. Maybe that's another 1,500 a month, depending on what you're doing. Right? Might be another 2,000 a month. I don't know, depending on what you're doing and the level of employee you're hiring. So, because I'm thinking like janitorial lawn company, it's going to be like $1,200, $1,500 a month, right? You bring in another person, all right? So now you've cut $1,500 into your extra 5,000. So we're down to 3,500. Now with that 3,500, you don't pay yourself. You invest in your business. You try to increase the amount of business that's coming in. Again, expand, get more clients, save money, that sort of thing. Get more business coming in. Once you start rolling in, now you're making 25,000. Maybe you give yourself $1,000 raise. Maybe you now give yourself, because that extra 5,000 on top of the other one, it's still got to pay for another employee. It still may have to pay for more supplies. Your overhead is also going up as you increase in business flow, because you got to replenish more supplies. You know, you're going to save money for if your space increases in rent, if you're using a vehicle for maintenance, that sort of thing increases major issues. So it's a kind of a tight little fluctuation that you got to play with. But the more and more you do that, and you start setting up standard operating procedures, you start setting up how your company functions, how everything. If it's a janitorial, this is how we mop. This is the temperature of the mop water. These are the products. This is how much of this product you put in. This is how much of that product you put in. This is the process of cleaning from front to back, east to west, north to south, however you do it. Whatever makes your company flow. With Uncle Ren's Popcorn, every recipe has steps. Every employee has to learn those steps. They have to practice until they can do it without thinking about it. And they can multitask. They can do this. They can pop corn. They can coat corn. They can make caramel. They can do all these things at the same time and keep the timing going on in their mind, as well as the timers that they use, and knowing what mixture of product goes into what, when, how, and where. So they learn that. Once they are efficient at doing that, and you got a well-organized machine, you got people working, and you got people who are off that day, and you know you can call these people in so that you're not left with sitting there saying that, oh, I have no one else I can call in to do the job. Once you're in that state, then you're starting to become a business owner. You go from being self-employed. But even if you are self-employed and you don't want to go that far, and you start increasing that business, that extra money that's coming in, now you pay yourself, maybe you pay yourself $2,000 more, and then you do another $2,000 later on, and you increase your income. And then you take your investments and you'll become an investor later, and you invest in someone else's business system, because maybe you don't want to deal with 2 clinics. Maybe you don't want to deal with a lawn company that has over $1 million in contracts through government contracts or local contracts. Maybe you don't want to expand your company in multi-states. Maybe you don't want to go international. These things you may not want to do. Building 5-6 stores may be good enough for you, where you're managing those. So whatever the situation, you have to find your level of success along that pole and vibrate there. Now, if you do decide you want to have multiples, you want to be able to work from home, you want to be able to know that the system is working, you want to be able to go away for a month, managing from online, checking in, have managers who are reporting up, employees, supervisors reporting up to managers, managers reporting up to district managers, whatever the situation is, depending upon the type of business and how large you want to grow it. You may want to sit in the big house sitting on top of a hill. That may be for you. You may want to work out, have the boardroom. It doesn't matter, whatever it is. When I was a business system owner, I turned Uncle Ren's Popcorn into a business system. Everything is in place for Uncle Ren's Popcorn to run without me. If I were to go back into the fitness industry, the way I would set up a gym now would work without me. If I were to go into real estate, I would set up that brokerage house. I would set up the Airbnbs and the rentals and the flips and all those things. But I would train people to run it without me. I would just manage those people. No matter what the business is that I'm interested in, I would set it off. Even a coach, my coaching company, is set up to eventually run without me as the figurehead. And it's more difficult. You're always the image, but it's creating additional streams of income within coaching. Video series, training programs, training people to be Coach Ren coaches. You know, coaches under whatever I changed the name to as a head top name company. You know, Tony Robbins doesn't make all the money being Tony Robbins. He has programs going on with other coaches who are making money, and he get a piece of it. T. Harv Eker, phenomenal with his Millionaire Mindset program. But other people, you go to a Millionaire Mindset 3-day intensive or whatever the training, T. Harv is not doing those trainings. Somebody else who's come up the rungs, learn how to be a coach, learn how to be a trainer, has become self-sustained through their own business, can become a coach of his, and you can put on these events, and T. Harv company gets a part of that money, and the event person gets a large part of that money. He's not there, but every weekend there are events going somewhere around the world that T. Harv is getting paid for. And that's what I'm talking about. That's how they, as a coach, I would set up a system that operates like that. Setting up a business system is difficult to do, takes a lot of energy and effort to build up to it. You got to pay consultants to come in because you don't know everything. That's one of the things that kills self-employed people to becoming business owners, is you think you got to do everything, or you think you can do everything. If you do, please go read the email so that you get a better understanding. Go read the email. You may not even be an entrepreneur. You may be a technician. You may be the technician who thinks that if it wasn't for me, the business wouldn't function. Let me tell you, one of the dangers of the employee is that you're replaceable. You're replaceable. The self-employed person, they're not replaceable. They're not going to fire themselves. The business system owner, they're not going to fire themselves unless they go public and then they sell off shares, and then the shareholders might fire their butt. But you got to maintain the voting rights. But if you're an employee, you're in a dangerous position to be fired and replaced. So don't ever think that you're so valuable as an employee that you cannot be replaced. You are replaceable. Even the best neurosurgeon is replaceable. So the business system allows for you to not be replaceable, but it takes a lot. You can't do everything. A true entrepreneur knows you have to bring somebody in to help you. You have to bring somebody in to tie up the loose ends. You can't manage everything and everybody. You manage your 10, 12 people you manage, and let the 10, 12 manage their 10, 12, and let the 100, 140 manage their 10, 12, 15, 30, 50 people, and so on and so forth down the line, so that you top heavy, put out the mission, put out what needs to be done. Your guys guys and girls go do it and make it happen, right? On down the line. Now the last one is the investor, right? Now most people, they think investor, they only invest in real estate. And you can. You can flip houses and you can do all that kind of stuff, but everything's still based on you. If you don't do a deal, then you don't get paid. So as an investor, you can invest in somebody else. You can find another person who flips houses and say, hey, every time you get ready to flip a house, talk to me about it. I may want to put some money into it. There are many investors who would love that, because they're saying, you know, I met a gentleman who flips houses a couple weeks ago. And as I was talking to him, part of the discussion that we had, I was like, how would it work for you if you're getting ready to buy a house? You see a house that's dilapidated, it costs about $30,000. You know that just by, even with its current condition, it has a equity value of $50,000. So you already got $20,000 built in. It's going to cost you $40,000 to fix up the house, and well, let's say 40. Let's say it's going to cost you $60,000 to fix up the house, so that the after repair value of the house is $170,000, right? It's a good flip. It's a good house to flip, right? But the guy, yeah, he can either go and get a loan for the entire amount that he needs, you know, a HELOC or type loan to go ahead and fix the house up, or he may say, you know what, it's gonna cost $50,000 to rehab this house. I got the 50, but then I step to the plate and say, hey, if I put in 10, That way you only have to have 40. You can take your other 10 and go buy you another contract to get started on another investment. He would like that. And all I'm asking is, and what I'm looking for is whatever my percentage breakdown is, I want that percentage of the profit after the house flips, right? So if my percentage breakdown is say 20%, and then the house is sold at 170, and it cost us 60. Well, I don't know what I said earlier, but it costs us 60 to get the house fixed. But it costs us 50 to get the house fixed, and then we spend we had to buy it at the 30, but we only put like maybe $10,000 down or $5,000 down, or maybe we did buy it outright. But let's say we only put like $5,000 down, but there's a $30,000 loan, so let's go ahead and put that in there. So we're talking $80,000. The house sells for 170. That's $90,000 left over. 20% of 90,000 is 18,000. So now I get 18,000. So my 10,000 turned to 18,000, and let's say the process took 3 months or 5 months for that to happen. In 5 months, I've increased 18,000, almost doubled my money. Right? You don't do that in the stock market. It's very difficult to do. So you could invest that way, but investing in other people's business. Hey, I see what you're doing. I got $60,000. I know you want to expand your Uncle Ren's Popcorn. I got $60,000. How many position points does that give me? How much equity does that give me in your company? You settle in at say 10% equity into the company. Over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, the company becomes a multi-million-dollar company, paying out dividends annually. You're getting a dividend check annually, every year or every quarter if it's paid out quarterly. That's a real investment. And then as the company grows, your money grows. So you're outpacing inflation, unlike a 401k or most stocks, bonds, mutual funds, hedge funds. You're outpacing inflation because the prices of the product go up every year to keep up with inflation, keep up with new supplies, all that sort of thing. And now you're making more money to boot, to go with it. So you never are at the low end. And then if the company ever sells for, $50 billion in 30 years, then it's sold for $50 billion, and probably in 20 years, it's sold for $50 billion. And now you are 10% owner. So however it breaks down, you're getting your 10% of the profit from the $50 billion sale, and now you're a billionaire, or at least a high 100 millionaire, off of an investment you made 20 years ago of $60,000. True investor. True investor. If you go buy 5 shares of Tesla, that's not going to help you. That's not going to do much of nothing for you. It'll make you feel good. You can say, oh, I invest in the stock market. Do you? Do you really? No, you don't. So I want you to take this assessment of yourself. Many people aren't in a position to be an investor right now. But if you get your 70-10-10 plan in order, it will open the door for you to become an investor in however you want to do it. Either in your own business, in your own self-employment rather, then maybe, or in your own business system, because you may go want to start right out the bat with a business system. I would. And then, or as an investor in somebody else, because it's like, I just want to put my money in. I want to evaluate, put my money in, but I don't want to do the work. You may not want to do the work that is required, especially if you're like 50, 60, 70 years old. You may like, I don't want to be in there every day slaving over some hot popcorn. That may not be your bag. So those are the ways you got to think about it. So I hope you guys take this assessment, write down your skill sets, write down the different opportunities that are in front of you, the different ways that you can increase your income. If you need help doing this, just contact me. You can get it in with one of my coaching programs. I'll be more than welcome to bring you on as a client. Hey, free 99 is not free 99 over here, but I'm bringing you on as a client. I've done many more videos about this. Some of y'all need to fix y'all credit in order to be able to do these things, because you're not getting a loan from the bank with bad credit. That's more difficult. You then have to have somebody else on so they can use other people's credit in order to get that loan. So there are different ways there are other different processes you need to go through in order to make this your reality. So I know this has been great for you guys. I know that if you actually sat down and did this, then you are already better off and moving more forward than most people, because most people will never ever do this. Most people will sit here, they will listen to this video, and they won't do it. Now, if you listen to the end of this video to the end. Let me know you watched this all the way through, but also let me know that you did this. You did this. I want to see who actually did this, because then you're showing how much you truly care and love yourself. And before you have any other awareness, any other love towards anybody else, you gotta love yourself first. So I hope you guys do that. I expect you to. And remember, you gotta free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. And if you want to continue to support the channel, find us on Patreon. You can get with my coaching program at CoachRenz.com, as well as buy popcorn at Uncle Renz Popcorn at urpopcorn.com. Love you guys. Great. Have a great day. Enjoy yourself. And once again, you gotta free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.